can start?
Yep, we're all ready.
The underlying principle for which the founding fathers wrote the Constitution is that of a democracy. A democracy is a government by the people, either directly or through the election of representatives. Unfortunately, this fundamental principle of our democracy is violated every 4 years through the way the United States elects their next president, and that is the Electoral College. My name is Diego Ramos. I'm part of the United States Business and Politics Group, and I'm here to convince you that the Electoral College needs to be replaced with the popular vote. First, I'll explain to you what the Electoral College is, a brief history of it, why it violates the notion that every vote is equal, examples of its failure, and finally, the one and only alternative to the Electoral College. So, what is the Electoral College? Well, you can think of the Electoral College as a collection of 538 votes. Where does this number come from? Well, it's the number of representatives, 435, and the number of senators in the House, 100, and then 3 electors from the District of Columbia. These votes are distributed roughly based on the population, as depicted in this graph. As you can see, the map has been resized to reflect the number of electoral votes each state gets. The Electoral College was made during the 1700s. During this time, the fastest way to get information around was by writing it down on a piece of paper, giving it to a guy on a horse, and hoping he doesn't die or get killed on the way there. So the Electoral College was built around this idea. The idea was to get every electoral voter in Washington so that they can make decisions for people back at home that didn't have all the up-to-date information. So, how does the Electoral College violate the notion that every vote is equal? Well, according to the United States Census Bureau, the current population of the United States is 512 million. If you divide 312 million, sorry. If you divide that by the 538 votes in the Electoral College, each electoral vote should represent 580,000 people per vote. It doesn't do this. For example, in Ohio has a population of over 11.5 million. This means that it should get, based on its population, 20 electoral votes. It doesn't. It gets 18. Where do those 2 votes go? Those votes go to small states like Rhode Island that have a population of just over 1.2 million, and this means they should only get 2 electoral votes, but they don't. States like this, like Alaska, that should only have 1 or 2 votes, get 3 or 4 electoral votes. And you've probably heard that the Electoral College is designed to protect smaller states from bigger states. If the more voting power a state has, the more attention and the more attention someone running for office has to pay to that state. This isn't the case. In the last election, at the peak at which each candidate visited a single state, there's only 12 states here, and the white states that you see on this map got no visits by any of the candidates. I got this map from fairvote.org, and the only small state here is New Hampshire. So the Electoral College clearly does not make candidates pay more attention to smaller states. And because the Electoral College is a winner-take-all system, a candidate needs to get just over 50% of the popular vote to get 100% of the electoral votes. So under this rule, winning by millions of votes means just as much as winning by a single vote. This makes candidates safe to ignore smaller states. So you're probably thinking, won't the popular vote make candidates pay more attention to bigger cities or bigger places where they can gather more votes. Well, that's not necessarily a logical fear, because the biggest city is here in New York, and it has a population of 8 million. And after New York, the population starts dwindling, and you only need to get up to the 10th largest city for it to be below 1 million. The combined population of the 10 biggest cities is just 8%. That's nowhere near enough to win the popular vote. And furthermore, the biggest 90 cities only have 20% of the population. Again, that's nowhere near enough to win the popular vote. So what are some examples of the Electoral College failing? Well, in 1876, the winning candidate got 48.6% of the popular vote and got 50.1% of the Electoral College. In 1888, the winning candidate got 59.6% of the popular vote, but he got 58.7% of the Electoral College. And more recently, in 2000, George Bush won the election by getting just 49.7% of the popular vote, getting over 50.5% of the Electoral College. Not once, not twice, but 3 times has the Electoral College failed to represent the population. That's a failure rate of over 5%. Would this failure rate be tolerable in a sport that allowed 1 out of every 20 games for once the loser to be declared the winner? Not likely. But this is more than just a game. This is the election of the leader of one of the most powerful countries in the world. This makes a failure rate of 5% extremely dangerous. It's not a democracy. So finally, what are the alternatives to the Electoral College? Well, if you implement the popular vote, this would get rid of all the problems I presented to you, and it would make each vote count fundamentally. I gave you a brief history of the Electoral College, what it is, how it fails, examples of its failure. Thank you.
Thank you. Going 7 minutes and about 45 seconds.